Alright guys, I know some of you guys on social media have been bugging me about this, which is fine. Been patiently waiting for this video, and I've been waiting for parts. So I still am waiting for a few parts. I'm waiting for my Big Kid Tiny Truck ESC. Right now, I robbed the Python Pro out of this guy over here to shoot some video a couple days ago and get it out on the rocks. Also, after I added my wheel weights, these wheels didn't fit when I used the Injora knuckles with the counterweights like I did on the blue truck, if you guys have seen that video, on the blue Power Wagon. And I ended up, a lot of the video is going to have these guys on it that I robbed off the blue truck because these didn't fit. I had to get some hex extensions, what I don't typically use, but I really wanted to pair these wheels with this rig. So I know a lot of people on social media also think that this is a tarantula. This is not a tarantula. This is an Injora laydown servo buggy, which is on sale right now, actually, for like 21 something. But it is not a tarantula. So anyways, before we get into what's all inside this and what you guys have been waiting for, how I did the cage, I'll get you some video out on the rocks, and then we'll get back in here and get into what's inside this guy. All right. Yeah, this doesn't quite climb a straight, steep up vertical like the blue Power Wagon does, but it also sits a lot higher. And it has a lot more clearance, it has a way better breakover angle. It climbs really steep, but not quite as steep as the blue truck does. The blue Power Wagon's got a way lower center of gravity. I'm going to change some stuff on an upcoming video. I'm going to make some Lexan panels and stuff for this, and do some stuff to lighten, maybe probably lose the light bar, and smooth all this out, and cut the crossbars up from underneath out of here, just to get some weight down. Anyways, let's get into what's in this thing. So I guess we'll start with the front axle. We'll go through this, and then at the end I'll tell you exactly how I did the cage here. You can kind of see a little bit of it right now. But so we got the front axle. These are the Aliexpress nylon diamond style axles. I prefer these over anything. I wish Muse would, or Mias, or however you want to say it, would make theirs in nylon like they do for the SCX24, but nobody seems to do that yet. So these have seemed to be what works best for me. They slide the best on the rocks, and you can keep your weight where you want it. It doesn't have to be all the way across the axle. So inside here we have the front diff has 2212 gears, and the rear has 2612. I've got internally, I have the Injora axles that are for the 4mm plus diamond style axles. You have to, on the inner part of the axle, just take about 1 millimeter off the part that slides into the differential. Otherwise they're a little long and they push these C-hubs out. And same thing with the rear, take just a touch off and then they go right in. And the diameter of the axle in the rear that comes in these are a little bit thicker, so you actually have to lose the bearing that they have in here and get a standard TRX4M bearing to use the Injora axles, internal axles inside these rear axles. Anyways, so we got Injora C-hubs, Injora knuckles with counterweights. I'll take a wheel off and show those to you later. I did the same thing on this as I did on the blue truck. Use the lower weights and then the upper ones that go up, lower counterweights, and use the upper counterweights on the bottom of the rear axle. Like I said, I'll show you that to you guys. Show that to you guys here in a little bit. We've got on the drive shaft situation, we have, because I have very long links back here. We've got the Injora High Trail stainless drive shafts, and then on here we have, let's see if we can get you a little better look at that, the Ramp Crab 10mm drive shaft extensions that claim that they fit SCX24, FCX24, and TRX4M. Well, I can confirm that they do not fit TRX4M. I had to drill out the inside of this, and I had to drill out the hole for the drive shaft, or the set screw for the drive shaft to go in it. I had to drill that out, and then it was really floppy, and so I had to stack some washers in here in between it to tighten it up. So there was kind of a lot of work that went into making that work, but I needed to pitch that rear end up and get the pinion angle up, and then that extension, what that did was move the drive shaft up so you have the clearance and it doesn't stick down below the links. Now, this drive shaft does extend enough to go straight to the pinion, but it does hang out down a couple millimeters below the links if you go that route. That's the way it was in most of the video that I shot the other day. But I think this is going to work out a little better. I wish somebody would make little extensions like that fit TRX4M. But like I said, even though these claim in the description that they fit, they do not. So, skid plate situation that we have here. this is a Oppia or Oppia factory high clearance skid that worked out real nicely for this. I don't know if you guys seen any of the pictures on social media on how much further that this hung down, like down here, when I was using the factory skid. Although in this application, when I did that, because I intended on using Injora Fat Viper and the 370 transmission and the Big Kid Tiny Truck ESC in this build, I had to steer away from that because there wasn't enough room in here. Once the skid got lifted up, there wasn't enough room in here for that 370 transmission and Injora Fat Viper to fit in here. So I went with the Furytech Cedar and a standard TRX4M transmission with Traxxas low range gears. As the shock situation that I have going on right now, I've used these a lot before they started making a bunch of different length shocks for TRX4Ms a long time ago when they first came out. Low C Mini T shocks, fully compressed, or 59 millimeter. Wait, maybe that is wrong. Maybe that is extended. I don't remember. Let's find out real quick. Okay, yeah, fully extended is 59 millimeter. And anyways, fully extended or 59 millimeter. And so I got stock TRX4M shocks with heavier oil in them, and these low C Mini T rear shocks on here at the moment. I have Injora 53s and 59s coming for this. They're just still not here. They actually are supposed to be here Monday, which this video should be coming out tomorrow. This is currently Sunday. What else? Oh, so up here also we have the torque servo, pretty quick servo, not as strong as I would like it, but it's been a good servo so far. Once you've ran a RS 100, there's not a whole lot of servos that make you happy anymore. But anyways, so up here we got the DBRC battery on servo mount. I think it's like $12 to make this fit on here. So there's a screw underneath the Velcro here and a screw underneath the servo that goes down into the axle. And there's a square nub that fits, because this is intended for the Injora diamond style axles. And obviously these are not Injora diamond style axles. These are Aliexpress diamond style axles. So what I've done is the upper link mounts, ground them off the top of the axle down to where it's flat, and got this mount where I needed it, drilled 2 holes, threaded the screws into it, and glued it. Screwed it down and glued it down. That worked. This is this exact same thing I had done on the blue truck, and it's held up just fine. It's took some 3, 4, 5 foot spills on the rocks, and it's held up just fine. Now, what everybody has been waiting for. I think I covered everything else. Oh, besides the bands on the shocks, but and the bands on the links. I put a screw in one of the link mount holes here, and ran a rubber band across the upper links and back up to the other side. Found that helped a lot with it when it's climbing, not trying to pick up, torque twist is bad. That, along with a shock, one around each. Oh yeah, so also the inner knuckles in here. Did some Dremel work in here to get the full steering out of it. So, all right, now finally, what everybody has been waiting for is, so this used to go, you can kind of see what's going on in here already, but this used to go obviously straight back. It was parallel with this one. There was a crossbar here and a crossbar here. I completely cut the crossbar out of here and the screw mount, and then cut this crossbar, mounted my skid into it, which I was using an original skid at the time, mounted the skid in it so everything was squared up, put a screw through each side on where the lower links would go, and ran a zip tie. I took this top panel off, ran a zip tie through each of those up to this, pulled it up to where the screw hole was for this is still connected to this lower bar here. Ran it up to where that hole now lines up where the other hole used to be. So that fits on there. So not only do you have this glued, and also I have a needle going through here. I'll explain that in a minute. You also have the panel actually holding everything together besides the glue and the pin that I put in here. So the pin that I put in here, and I don't know if you can see it now, so I ground it down. So what I did is like not a threaded needle, but like I don't know, I'm not a sewer, so just a needle that people pin stuff together with when they're sewing. I heated it up with a torch, and this bar that's coming down right here is original, and then this bar coming across, I heated up with a torch holding needle nose pliers, and then I pushed it in through here, down into here, and left some hanging out back here, which I later ground down with a Dremel. So anyways, so with the zip ties holding everything up and the pin in it, I super glued everything together here. And then also the bar that used to run from here and come down to this lower bar, I cut that out of there originally, then I shortened it up, and I've got it super glued in and also pinned in. And I plan on doing some Dremel work to it and then painting it, but I left it for the video so you guys can see what's going on, because I will eventually take all of this apart and smooth everything out and paint the cage, probably black again. So a lot of Dremel work. Okay, now very important, so hopefully nobody's left yet, because something very important here is the skid is actually moved backwards on the cage. So where your second hole is, which some of this is ground off, so it's hard to explain. I wish I had a new one here that I could show you. So I moved the skid back one hole, and then you can see that there's a divot for this screw and this screw, because those are original. This one is not original. I had to drill that hole, because instead of it being that one and that one, I moved the cage back so it's this one and this one. Also, so which allowed me to change the location of the upper rear links. So the links, I'll give you the lengths on the links, and I'm going to make a video on how I make my links and bend them and whatnot in a later video. It'll be a dedicated video to just that. But these lower links are 82 millimeters, and the upper links, and that's eye to eye. So if you cut it to that length and then bend it, it's obviously going to be shorter. So after it's bent eye to eye, these lower links are 82 millimeters, and these upper links are 80.5. And as you can see, they are not mounted in the location that they're normally mounted in. I've got a spacer in this open hole because the skid is moved forward. That left this hole open. And so I got a bolt and a brass spacer, pivot ball, and it's bolted here. So with that length, that tipped the rear end back. Oh man, I just realized that you guys maybe not been able to see what I had going on. Anyways, that tipped the rear end back to get this clearance back here. So I hope that explained it well enough for you guys, and I am currently calling this the Tipsy RC, referring to this as the Tipsy RC mod, and I hope to see a whole bunch of them out there. Thanks for watching. Stick around, like and subscribe, and see what's up next. Got some other stuff coming up.